Hello, it is Thursday, June 9th, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Thursday puzzle today, so we will be encountering some sort of unusual theme, perhaps. We'll have to see. And this unusual edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Victoria Rojishka, Laura Sexton, and, as always, the inestimable Hood Monster and the invaluable Timothy Mark. So thank you so much to the four of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. They are directly supporting this channel, and for that I am deeply appreciative. And I am appreciative as well of everybody who has become a patron at any level. They, too, are helping sustain this channel. So thank you very much to everybody who is a patron. And if you'd like to become one yourself, you can find more information at patreon.com/dailysolve. For a few pounds a month or the equivalent in your local currency, you can get access to all of the bonus videos that go up on the channel each week, as well as the new ones that go up, as well as the old ones that have gone up in the past. I'd like to do another today. I might do an acrostic today. I saw there was an acrostic that was published recently by the New York Times, and I really would like to get better at doing the acrostic. I still find them much trickier than the crossword. And of course, you can join the Daily Solve Discord chat server. There's a link in the description field underneath the video. It's a small but very friendly and welcoming community, I think. And what else? Anything else? Do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos. Yes, and like the video, perhaps. I very rarely say that, but you should do it often, not rarely, even though I only mention it rarely. Okay, let's solve the puzzle. This is a Thursday crossword constructed by Dan Ziering, a debut construction by Dan Ziering. So we'll see what he's come up with. I think debut puzzles, I think the barrier to be selected, from what I hear, is more difficult than if you are an existing constructor. So maybe we will have a particularly interesting Thursday theme today. Anyway, it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So let's solve. Some sleeveless undergarments informally. Tank tops? Old Coke vis-a-vis new Coke in marketing. The norm? I'm not really sure. It's an interesting clue. I wonder what that means. Faucet accessory. I don't know. Rom-com staples. Staples. My first thought was meet cutes, but or meets cute, perhaps that would be, since cute, I guess, is the adjectival modifier for the noun meet. Anyway, or the verb, I suppose, depending on how you're interpreting it. That's not the answer because there aren't enough letters. Rom-com staples, I'm not sure. New something. I to Einstein. This might not be tanks. I don't think it is. Ich or ein, ich. Camisoles? What is this? Creature whose saliva acts as a blood thinner. A leech, perhaps? And bygone rulers could be Shahs, deposed Shah. Maybe this is leech and old Coke. Right, old Coke vis-a-vis new Coke in marketing. I don't really, I'm very curious to see what that ends up being. Queen of 40 down. What's 40 down? Hasn't been highlighted. Otis Redding's genre. Soul music? Oh, the queen. Well, Aretha Franklin is the queen of soul. So we may have a rebus in the puzzle today. It's actually been a while since we've had a rebus. So what I mean by that, you have to sort of somewhat ignore what a rebus means in traditional puzzle solving, in which it's a sort of a pictorial thing. But here in the New York Times crossword, a rebus is when you put more than one letter into a single cell. So we could put, with the rebus function, ET, for instance, in Aretha. And actually, that might be the one that it is, if it is indeed a rebus, because ET is itself that's a bit of terminology. Does that work? Yes, that would work with rom-com staples being Meet cute or meets cute. I'm guessing it's going to be meet cute. Probably going to be less sort of persnickety grammar-wise than I'm deciding to be for partially comic effect. Egg holder would be an egg sack. Okay, there we go. So we've stumbled fairly early on, I think, what's going on with the theme. So there might be, it could be that throughout the puzzle we're going to be depositing ET into single cells, or it could be that we're going to be choosing different letters. So the ways I could imagine this working are, for instance, there are ET everywhere, and then there's a revealer that has something to do with extraterrestrial life. Or we could use different letters in rebuses throughout the puzzle, and they could themselves spell some word that is a concept that relates to the theme. I don't know which it's going to be. There's no way to know just yet. Okay, old Coke vis-a-vis new Coke in marketing. Oh, classic, I suppose. Classic Coke. Okay, fair enough. That was less surprising than I thought. Okay, this is camisoles, camis. And faucet, accessory, and aerator, maybe? To aerate water coming through a tap, I suppose. Rugrats' dad is Stu, so that's the 1990s children's cartoon, Rugrats. A trace is an iota, not one trace. Place for icing. And Christmas display. You could have a creche, nativity scene. Place for icing. What is that? Calls. We have to remember we could have rebuses anywhere. They could be anywhere lurking. Shade could be a hue, a color. Ridiculous introduction. This feels like it could have... Sorry, I just checked this to make sure it wasn't creches and that we were putting a rebus in there. Ridiculous introduction. Utter rot or something? I'm wondering if, because you could put an ET... No, you actually couldn't quite. It'd be TE. One wearing a traje de lucis, suit of light in the ring. I don't know, is it a luchador or something else? I'm not sure. Eggs are ova, plural of ovum, and it may result in damages. Tort, so some sort of legal wrongdoing. Damages in this sense meaning remunerary damages. Star with low luminosity. Red dwarf, maybe? Don't remember my my star categorizations well enough, but starting with R and fitting this number of letters, my guess is red dwarf. One side of a bet. You could do an over-under bet, so over would be one side of the bet. The Minutemen, e.g. Was that a band with 3 people? Trio, maybe? Okay. Oh, is it a toreador or a torero? No, that wouldn't be a ring, would it? CeeLo Green's Forget You and the Black Eyed Peas' Don't Mess With My Heart. Radio hits, maybe? I mean, that would be a very straightforward guess. Okay, scatter could be to strew seeds, for instance. So maybe this is a torero. A bullfighter, right? Am I misremembering what that is? Blank now, one-time political button. Is it ERA now, the Equal Rights Amendment now? Let's check the crosses on that. Wheelhouses, not my wheelhouse, not my area, you might say. Sanctuary scrolls, could be Torahs. The Torah could be the scroll in question. So ridiculous introduction, utter rot. I keep thinking that, just as you're saying, that's ridiculous. It's a way to introduce something that you find ridiculous, but I'm not sure. And it doesn't fit anyway. I'm just trying to think if there's a way the rebus could come into play there. Did a job on, and C37 across. What's 37 across? Here's our theme revealer, I think. With 39 across, some Sundance submissions, or a hint to 4 squares in this puzzle. Sci-fi films, I bet. And so maybe it's not all E.T. Maybe we're going to be spelling different films. Wow. Oh. So, what is this? Ridiculous introduction. Utef, what is that? Oh, sci-fi wrong maybe? Maybe it's not that. I thought sci-fi because of ET, but it seems to really destroy any plausibility of these crosses. Interesting. Did a job on, could be heisted, as in a bank job, a bank robbery. Seasoned sailor could be an old salt. So you might refer to a sailor as an old salt, a tar, sea dog. You have to know all those synonyms for sailors if you want to solve cryptic crosswords, by the way. Distribute as pineapples. To dole out. So the reason this is as pineapples, even though doling out has nothing to do with pineapples in particular, Dole is a major global pineapple producer. So that's there's our little pun, hence the question mark. What Britain left in 2020 in brief? The EU, the European Union. So this is not radio hits. The EU. Radio edits. So this says CeeLo Green's Forget You and the Black Eyed Peas Don't Mess With My Heart. So that means the fact that it says and not or means we're referring to two things, which is why I put radio hits before. So radio edits. So we do need an extra letter here, but none of them make ET. So it would be either DI, IT, or TS. Don't really understand how any of those are relevant. Giggle could be hee or ha. Don't know which, but it probably has an H in this position. Ingredients in sushi rolls and poke bowls. In sushi rolls and poke bowls, well, it could be a fish, obviously. It could be what else is in both. Rice. What else would be in both of those things? Probably a fair number of possibilities, honestly. Hip-hop subgenre in Lil Nas X's Old Town Road. I don't know. To be honest, I'm actually not sure if you've ever heard this song. I know that sounds extremely unlikely because I gather it was utterly ubiquitous, but I don't think I've actually heard it. Bother persistently. I'm not sure. Irene of Old Hollywood. Irene Dunn. Okay. Needs something to move me forward in this little corner over here. Place for a hammer and anvil. Your ear has a hammer and anvil biologically, doesn't it? So, tuna. Ahi tuna. Okay, that works. So if this were IT for ahi tuna, then radio edits. So ET, the film It. I suppose you could call it, well, I guess it's not a science fiction film, is it? Or I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I don't know what the revealer is actually declaring. So I don't know if the theme is sci-fi films or something else. Some Sundance. Why is it? Actually, I didn't take into account that it was Sundance in particular. Does that mean these specifically were films that were submitted to Sundance, or does it just probably not? It probably just means that this answer, Sundance, the film festival, by the way, it probably just means that this answer is relevant to Sundance, and this answer is also related to the clues, whether or not Sundance is related to the clues. So giggle is hee or haha. Fixed up could be redone, as in a home. So hee is the laugh. Bother persistently is to pester somebody. Trap. Okay, that was my guess, but I didn't want to put it in without crosses. So the hip hop subgenre is trap, which I'm aware of more broadly. So ahi tuna. So ET and IT. I mean, those are definitely both films. Scary films, but ET isn't really a scary film. I just don't know. The reason I thought that is because it would fit with my utter. I'm just going to have to keep solving and we'll figure it out. Comedian who said, embrace who you are, literally, hug yourself, familiarly. Not sure. Don't know who that would be offhand. Popular urban hangouts. And urban ill, smog, I suppose, would be an ill of urbanity, potentially. Otis Redding's genre, right. So, okay, so I thought this was soul music, but then I didn't put it in because it didn't fit. But is there something we can spell? SOULLMMUUS or IC? Well, Us. Us is a horror film. And I guess, arguably, I guess you could say a sci-fi film as well. I guess it is. It is actually, literally, plot-wise, a science fiction film. So we have E.T., It, Us. So these are all two-letter films, and they're all sort of science fiction or horror or some point along that spectrum. Now, what does that mean? I still don't understand the revealer. What about this? One with Windows, and Windows is capitalized. So presumably that means, presumably not referring to the character named Windows in the John Carpenter film The Thing, which would also fit into these categories. But with the capital letters, that is the capital letter that is possible. But rather, I assume it means the operating system. Underground NYC Group, the MTA, Metropolitan Transit Authority, grist for a mill, and spiritual teacher could be one's guru. Popular urban hangouts. Oh, stoops. There we go. Okay. So we have two urban clues crossing one another. Mentored one could be, I don't know. Powdered in a way could be sugared. Powdered sugar on a confection. Grist for a mill. Oh, a log, as in a lumber mill. Mentored one. Proctored. One with a PC user. Right, a PC user has Windows. A mentored one. I see. A protean? No, that doesn't work. Oh, a prodigy? You could say my prodigy. One named former wrestler who twice won the WWE Divas Championship. Not the person to ask about wrestlers. What about this? Like a comet's path. Arced. A protege, not a prodigy. Yes, a protege is someone who has been tutored, of course. Prodigy, in some ways, you could say maybe they don't need the tutoring. Tesla, for one, is a car in this case. So, Page, maybe? I just have no idea. Italian sportswear brand named after a Greek letter. What about this? Journalist Ida B. Wells. Kappa? Is Kappa an Italian sportswear brand? I have no idea. That would work with Page. Best actor winner for Bohemian Rhapsody. Rami Malek was Rami Malek Freddie Mercury in that film? I didn't ever actually see this movie. I think he might have been, so that might be the answer. By a narrow margin. And actress Long, Eva Long or Ava Long? I always forget, even though I've seen her name in the crossword before. Sappho, for one, was a poet. By a narrow margin, slightly. Can we put that in? No, that's actually too many letters for a two-letter. Doesn't matter. Rebus is what I was going to say. By a narrow margin. Okay, what else can we find here? Cold War initials. Could be SSR, Soviet Socialist Republic. It probably could be quite a few other things, to be honest. Steamed could be angry or upset. Calls. It could be upset as well. Could be more things if it's got a rebus. Sisterly could be sororic. Does that work? Sororal. Increasingly common weather event, akin to a hurricane. This will probably be blindingly obvious when I eventually get it. Come out of one's shell, say. Hatch. Oh. Could we make that work with a rebus? So H-A-A-T-T-C or C-H. No, that doesn't really work. The say made me wonder if I could be a little loose with it. Word after G. G-force? G with a rebus? A Day Without Rain singer. I don't think I recognize that. Maybe I will when I see it. Genderqueer identity. I mean, it could be trans. I mean, it could be... See, the problem is, because this puzzle has this rebus thing, I feel as though there are just so many possibilities a number of these answers could take if this is going to be 4 or 5 letters. I need something that's really straightforward and couldn't be anything, couldn't be more than one thing. Boy, I'm really struggling, aren't I? Ridiculous introduction. An utterance? An place for icing. Why can't I see this? Icing. What does one ice? Oh, an ache. An ache. Is that a place? You might ache. I have an ache in my leg. I don't know. It's sort of more of a cause for icing than a place for icing to me. Okay, so some Sundance submissions. Short films. There we go. All right, very clever. Why didn't I get that? I'm very sorry. So it relates to Sundance in that Sundance is a film festival, has many short film festivals tend to be have many short films screened there, and then also short films relates to these because we're finding films with very short titles. So as suspected, the revealer pertains to both Sundance and the answers, but Sundance does not pertain to the answers. Okay, there we go. Utterly ridiculous. There we go. That's the answer. It was much simpler than I was making it. I should have paid more attention to the question mark. So ridiculous introduction just means an introduction, something that can be used to introduce the word ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous, which is how I feel. Okay. Comedian who said, embrace who you are. Literally hug yourself. Embrace your I keep reading that as though I'm going to remember the quote. I don't know this. I'm not familiar. Ellen, maybe? Would fit. Actress Long. Oh, Nia Long. Right, Nia Long. That's who I should have been thinking of. Okay. Bank offering with a fixed payment schedule. A term loan? Doesn't sound right. Sappho for one. A somethingist. Lyrist? Did Sappho play the lyre? Calls. Haulers. Okay, I guess it is. Okay, great. So, term. And by a narrow margin, slimly. Actually, yeah, that does fit, doesn't it? Here's also by a narrow margin. What about these crosses? Word after G. G. Maybe, I don't know if slimly is right. Bone to pick at dinner, say. Oh, I don't think we saw this clue before. A leg? A chicken leg? Does that work with anything here? Oh, no, this will be storm. Increasingly common weather event akin to a hurricane will be something storm. Okay. Term. So maybe this is term loan. Sisterly. Maybe it is sororal. Sort of an awkward word to say, but that doesn't make it wrong. Look blank. Look at it. Look. Is that right? Look at it. That doesn't really work with these crosses very well, does it? Oh, look at me, maybe. Oh, right. Okay. So this could be NB, literally, homophonically, NB, non-binary, and then bone to pick at dinner could be a rib. There we go. And a word after G is Gmail. Okay, great. That all works. So, steamed. Irate, perhaps. How about that? Mexican sandwich is a torta. And words on a candy heart. Kiss me. So we're going to have one more film around here somewhere. Oh, I don't think we've seen this clue. E-commerce site with a portmanteau name. And by a narrow margin. Barely. Okay, Cold War initials, KGB, the Russian, Soviet Security, Special Security Service. E-commerce site with a portmanteau name. Come out of one's shell, say, to molt, maybe, in a biological sense. Is that what that's getting at? And a day without rain singer must be Enya. So all that's left is for me to disambiguate this one cell and... Oh, is it Superstorm? Up is a film. And then this would be... Oh, Groupon. Right. Okay. All right. I think that's it. It is. Wow. Now that really did give me some trouble. I thought yesterday gave me a bit of trouble, but today really... that was tough. And not what I expected it to be. Well, not that I expected it to be anything in particular, but I suppose what I mean is the theme didn't go where I was expecting based on my initial determination of its mechanic. Although I wasn't far off, I suppose. I think this being my initial suspicion that this was sci-fi films really did throw me off for a while. Short films is much more clever and allows much more leeway in the answer because, strangely enough, all of these films could plausibly be described as science fiction, except for arguably It, which is more of a sort of horror fantasy film, I guess. But Up has expressly science fiction elements in it. E.T. is literally an alien film, and Us has a science fiction concept at the heart of its premise. So I suppose I was sort of justified, even though I didn't actually know what the other films were, but it didn't help. It didn't help me one bit until I got short films, and that made much more sense. But by that point, I think we had... No, I don't remember if we had Us yet by the time short was entered in the grid. Anyway, it doesn't particularly matter. We did have some more... look at this. We have a sort of tripartite proper noun crossing here. Ellen, Nia, and Malik. That could be quite tricky. That's too bad. And in general, rebuses are tough. I wouldn't really find fault in anybody who struggled with that. It's very difficult to intuit these until you've solved enough crosswords to start considering that they could always be there. Although, really, it is Thursday in particular. So I'd say on a Thursday, be particularly vigilant for this kind of thing. You don't need to be worrying about rebuses on other days. I don't think, anyway. Someone let me know if that's wrong. I can imagine a rebus maybe occurring on a Sunday. That's the only other day I could really see it happening. But let me know if that's wrong. Anyway, yes, definitely, I thought a tough puzzle, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the struggle, and I'm glad I stumbled on this ET relatively early. I think that probably did help. Okay, let's discuss a few clues from yesterday's puzzle. How about that? We had a few. So Joe Zichterman points out, I don't think we heard 67 across, but I also didn't understand it. The clue was whammies, and the answer was hexes. So I think in this case, whammies just refers to a hex as in a curse, something like that, a curse or a spell, a magic spell, that sort of thing. Michael H. Let's read this other thing first. So GTDP says, I had to look up fetter. It's a chain or manacle used to restrain a prisoner. Can also be used as a verb, to fetter, and related to unfettered, as in unrestricted, which is definitely more commonly used. Yes, indeed. That's one of those words where we sort of, as you say, exactly, we know it more through its negative application, similarly to being underwhelmed, right? There's certain words where we use the nonplussed, we use the sort of negative prefixed version of them much more than we do the unprefixed version. And this is one, fetter and unfettered. So thank you for pointing that out. And then finally, just many people did find yesterday to be particularly difficult puzzle. And I wanted to read Michael H's comment on that because I thought it was an interesting particular version of that reflection. Even though I found yesterday's puzzle hard, I absolutely agree that, even though I found what he means 2 days ago's puzzle at the time he posted this comment was hard, I absolutely agree that this one, yesterday's puzzle, was harder. For me as a non-native English speaker, themes that play around with the spoken sound of the answer and make you type in words that do not necessarily exist in the English language always do my head in, if that makes any sense. No, it absolutely does make sense. And what was challenging here is that these words sort of do exist, but they exist in an archaic version of English that is no longer spoken outside of, dramatic productions and that sort of thing. And so there's absolutely no reason as a non-native English speaker you would sort of encounter them or think about them. And I don't remember specifically whether each word in yesterday's puzzle could actually be attested in the English corpus, I suppose. Or some of them were probably improvised by the solver. So some of them, as you say, probably don't exist in the sense of not having actually been used during the era of English when those word endings would have been more grammatically appropriate. And yes, I can't even imagine. I mean, the only other language I speak to any degree is French, and I wouldn't call myself a French speaker, and I can't even begin to imagine competently doing a crossword in French. So I'm certainly sympathetic to your plight, because your English is obviously much better than my French. Okay, and that's that for today's crossword. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe and like the video if you did indeed like it. I'm perfectly happy for you to like the video, even if you disliked it. But I'll be back tomorrow for the Friday puzzle. We will dispense with the theme. Definitely no rebus in tomorrow's puzzle. I can guarantee that. So come back for that if you're interested in a rebus-free, themeless puzzle. But until that point, please do have an excellent remainder of your Thursday. Take care.